was for higher GC news. Mima Obibia Aquaba. I had the latest hot Aremeyaw Bramo. Eruti Seunya subscribe to channel dia Bomodia say or be subscribe. Bawumia Anas say over click the subscribe button. Na wabeli notification. We are sa video for be upload when the first person was sa ebeka sa video. Afenyo we are now like video. Give us a thumbs up. Now fe shema wo fufro so na when you be here na wo ensemwa ekoso ewo Ghana memo. Afi yebure ye ensemwa abeto yepono so. Eye KT Kevin Taylor wodi ensema tujafa ye Dubik Mahama former MD eye ECG na Dubik Mahama di ensembi ebetujwa na nona kebitela akofa ensembibre afa eye Dubik Mahama ho achese wabeda eye sansem ni nyinara edi na ententemara yenko eye kiti eye kebitela kachi na yenkuti ensemo awodi tujafa eye Dubik Mahama ho yenkuti eye kiti nsemo yenti nsemo
na yenko eni nam dwudwa bibi mu nkyira wo story way. This guy is a criminal. Dubik Mahama. And I'm catch the Attorney General. I have picked information say this criminal Dubik Mahama is your friend. And that seriousness also already attach ECG criminality. Yehu akwawe aton ECG containers. Kronwa oni Afenyo Markin born or ECG or resign here without giving us a reason. No. Attorney General Ayeni, I respect you. I am still investigating the matter. I swear to God, if I get a little piece of evidence to say it is because of your friendship with this guy, Tina, you don't want to go into the matter, you will not like me. If I get to know that you and this boy Dubik, because of your friendship, you don't want to address the ECG container theft, you will not like me. Intermediate, I'm setting a record straight. Now, this boy, Dubik Mahama, a chain smoker. Now, wakotna Joy News. You see, mameka bibinchiramu. Some of the media, almost say Ghana. Some of the media almost say Ghana. And I planned, especially multimedia, media. Right now, I can tell you, say, political talk show I Ghana, I solid bakwa. I can say, me, minya time I share a key point on TV3. I don't want the only political show in Ghana. Me when say Nipana or hostino, and they show the way it's been drafted, they show the way it's been carved, the presentation and the follow-up questions, and no one the only international reasonable show and the Ghana political show. Yeah, I'm being honest with you. Say about a Saturday shows. Key point. And no Joy News idea or more say. Political criminals, they think they can use that cocaine media to rebrand political criminals like Dubik Mahama. And Kwesichum, Kennedy Agyapong catch that I say cocaine or the BA, multimedia, ever seen there, ultimately respond here. It means it's true. I didn't know. Ghana for near him until Kennedy Agyapong catch that say who Kwesichum. Cocaine can or the BA multimedia, ever seen there, you've not been able to clear yourself. Meaning you are an ex-criminal, ex-cocaine dealer. Per Kennedy Agyapong statement. But you see, multimedia, right now, what they do, and they say, it has become a platform and as a news outlet that always cleans up drug addicts, criminals, political criminals. And that is what they are doing for this boy because he has paid Evans Mensah. And what they are doing is, right now, every single day, no matter multimedia. So, this guy called Dubik Mahama in any country, he's not supposed to be given any platform to even speak on ECG matters. But the funny thing is, you will see multimedia since the day the news broke out, say Akwawe on Afenyo Markin connived. They came together per the investigations from the committee. The two criminals, the board chair and the ECG MD, came together to steal from us. Multimedia and I say they will be bringing this guy on TV to be doing what? To be cleaning himself. Into a multimedia, Joy News, I just say cocaine media. What they do is they clean drug addicts, criminal, political drug addicts. Now, Mamenchiro adebia isi. And why they be amekachire Ghana for say privatization of ECG is paramount. And the government needs to hand over ECG, the operations, some of it to a Ghanaian private company. When it is foreign, I will not agree. But a Ghanaian private company needs to take over ECG. Mamenchiro adebi. Oh, because Yahweh. Okotna Joy News, the same cocaine media. And he was trying to create an impression, say, the ECG that he was board member and became MD. The ECG is an entity that has never made profits. In fact, ECG was never at the table in terms of revenue. He is creating an impression, say, remember this guy, he was a board member before he became the MDU. And there were quite some multimedia catcher Ghana for say, ECG, they never made revenue. And that no Ghanaian should stand up and be questioning ECG why they are not making money. Okay. Now, listen to this guy, Dubik Mahama.
Why did you merge the estate department with the
These challenges that you speak of now, I mean, when you were appointed, when you assumed office as managing director, these were not new to you because you had served as board member of ECG then.
I didn't say they were new to me. I said when they all came to, it's different from when you are sitting at the board. You are a policy director. Then finally you are put in the main chair and then on a daily basis. There's one thing that I have learned in my 2 years, 4 months of occupying that chair is that the theory that Mike Tyson gave that you always have a plan until you enter the ring and you are hit in the nose. And then you realize that everything is thrown out. Because you can wake up in the morning, all systems go, everything is working perfectly. You're chugging along nicely. By 2 o'clock, there's fuel shortage here. There's this here, there's that. Now the question you ask yourself is the cost of unsold energy. So what do? You have to, but you know, one of the things that we don't give credit for because most people don't have the backstory is that ECG was never ever at the table. ECG was never at the table in terms of revenue because ECG's revenue, when I joined the board, since time immemorial and everybody was talking, was always like this. There's no utilities revenue that flatlines.
Always on the same wavelength.
It was about 450, 500 million, 450, 500 million. But thanks be, the minister in his last interview said what? 1.5 billion.
Right.
1.5 billion is no mean feat. To move a company that was never at the table because at that point, everybody had to carry ECG. And in carrying ECG, what did it mean? You understand? Now, the main way or the single way for you to collect revenue is through meters.
Right.
Metering. Now, the question is, what's the lifespan of a prepaid meter? That's one thing most people don't know. Prepaid meters do expire.
And then when they do, I mean, there's no way of checking the consumption level
it is not
of consumers.
So PURC will do a beautiful job of giving ECG a tariff. ECG will fire the tariff into the meter while you are enjoying 2013 meter. Unfortunately for maybe Sule is on the 2022 meter, so he will receive the new tariff. Most of the meters are all, prepaid metering started under President Akufo.
We'll come to the way forward. I'm building the backstory so that I can allow.
I'm building the backstory for you. So, in deciding to embark on the digitization journey, we called a few people in place. There was an unsolicited proposal which was going to be even considered under PDS, which we saw went through the whole thing. We changed how we procured meters. We changed how we installed meters. As at the time that I got into office, ECG had a huge lack of meters in the system, and ECG's installation was about 2,500 meters a month. as at the time I was leaving office, they were such an efficient machine that they were doing about 100,000 meter installations in a month. All of these things require investment.
Right.
You cannot have a multi-billion dollar or billion CD industry in Ghana and not invest in it. I sometimes hear the whole conversation around it, and then you realize that, look, yes, ECG's debt. Oh, this is ECG's debt. But nobody fails to calculate what portion of the debt falls under, what do you call it? Forex losses. What is the portion? Because every single implement in ECG is in USD. From the you buy electricity in dollars, you sell it in cedis. By the time you are going back to procure those dollars to pay, what's the forex rate? You come into the office in the morning, you are rich. By the time you close, you're poor. For example, last year around this same time, it was February, when the whole digitization process ended, ECG went cashless.
What is he talking about? This is the immediate boss of ECG. Dubik Mahama, he was a board member before he was made the MD of ECG. From the beginning of his conversation, he just said the board is just a policy. They basically endorse policy. Now, you being a board member before becoming the MD, then it means you have prior knowledge about how ECG operates. Because as a board member, when a policy from the MD is put before you endorse that board, that policy, before you give that green light, we presume you have read that policy before you basically give it an endorsement. And now, if it's about money, you give the green light for money to be pumped into that policy. For you being on the ECG board before becoming the ECG MD, then basically you should have a prior knowledge of how ECG operates. You have no room, no excuse to give to us. Because all the things you are talking about, that time I would be a human who say, Mike Tyson proverb bitch say, so ring grima punches in a different, you already had an idea about what will happen in the ring because you were on the board. You looked through every policy document that was presented to the board. The ECG, it has never made any money. And the ECG, everything about it, when it comes to revenue, they have never been to the table. Meaning, ECG has been running debt from Tete. There was never a point at ECG could breaking even. Mamenchira wadibi. Miwi amechira bibi. Oh, say in some occasion, say ECG no e kana mene omo. ECG they don't even have money to, at the end of the day, use in the operationalization of ECG. Okay? Akwa we time or ECG boss no. In some okay, time I workers ECG and that time I know 2023 they were donating 200 motorbikes to Ghana Police Service. An institution that is not able to meet its obligation. ECG institutional and to me sika enye enfambo ECG no brano. The ECG is able to raise money to buy 200 motorbikes before elections to give to dapaah police service. The question here is ECG priorities in any day. This is under Dubik Mahama, and I'm going to show you Kama Dubik Mahama sika we ediakoto motorbikes ediama ECG Ghana police no na ECG omo numbers saying, because from what you are telling us ECG basically is always bankrupt. ECG does not make any serious revenue. So if ECG wasn't making any revenue, yeah, I'll do that. If ECG wasn't making any revenue, how were you able to raise money to buy 200 motorbikes to give to Ghana Police Service? If you really say you are a manager who is looking out for the company and making sure your priorities are right, how were you able to raise 200 motorbikes Where did you get the money? Because from the donation on the site of ECG, under your watch, Dubik Mahama, you presented 200 motorbikes to the police service. Now, this is the picture. You can see clearly. This is Dubik Mahama presenting motorbikes to the Ghana Police Service 2023. So the question here is, if ECG is not breaking even, if ECG is a company that is making losses under your watch every single day, the question is, where were you raising the 200 motorbikes money from? Was it from your pocket? Or it was from the same ECG that was not even breaking even? Now, my main show data no any chart no. Now my show BB about MPP for we. A simple data. Joy news for Nankasa and a Kweyibaye. My main show on fan compared Dubik Mahama and Sama Oka. Now we the dangerous and seriousness of the corruption now. Yeah, can watch them every single day. Because yeah, when I'm radio, so I comfort them. Yeah, interviews. Dubik Mahama a way. Ne who fee way such a drug addict. Me you make sure the real Dubik Mahama. Drugs na why I say you. I will show you who he is. Okay? You see this? Let me show you this. You see this data? Look at the data carefully. I make sure I DB. You see, so I'll check ECG profitability 2012 to 2023. Dubik Mahama, a cover the period and now your ECG boss. From in 2020, 2012, the first one, na ECG making loss of 136 million Ghana cedis. That was NDC time. 2013, na ECG was making a loss of 246 million. NDC time. Yeah, the data nature. In 2014, that was when Dumso was about to pick up. Even in 2014, a Canada ECG day, a tip from 246 million to 38 million. Something happened, and I'm a boy. Now, Dumso hit in 2015. ECG a cano a cost could do 291 million. This is under NDC. Now look at 2016. Baby a green one. Baby a green one. Answer na John Mahama free power no. Na ECG a break even and make profit to 209 million. 2015 na ECG a make loss of 291 million. Meaning time na John Mahama eja ECG ashe NPP semuno. Na ECG had broken even. Na ECG debt and swallow omo. Sa time okofa Ameri car power. Time John Mahama solve Dumso or handy over 2016. Power ECG Edema MPP for no. Na ECG had made profit of 209 million Ghana cedis. Na ECG deka. So data we me boa joy news for boa. Now in 2017, Nana Dan Kweku Addo mobile power ECG ekano bedru 497 million. NDC ja 209 million profits eto ho. Nana Akufo Addo ne MPP for bar power ekano esaba back to 497 million. 2018 about 2.2 billion. They were not paying. Nana Dan Kweku Addo and MPP for they were owing, they were not paying. Into a Kana ECG deno a jumping from a year 497 million in 2017 in 2018 it came straight to 2.2 billion under MPP. Shesibia echo. Now 2019 if you 2.2 billion echo 1.46 billion. Now here election year 2020 ECG making profit of 410 million election year. Ask yourself why. Because that was the time they were trying to prove to Ghanaians said they can keep the power on. Iti ekana no muntia no. They start to settle some. And then they start to make it look like say power ni jina so. Into we share the second one now 2020 no. Then ECG ebenya infrastructure 410 million. Abrana 2019 omdeka 1.4 billion. Now how do you see it? Right after election 2020, ECG circle back echo bought eka 1.45 billion. 2022 under Dubik Mahama, ECG accounted from 1.4 billion, it bedrew 8.6 billion. All this while, from 2021 to 2023, na Afenyo Markin, omuna no more run ECG. Kennedy Agyapong, Afenyo Markin, that is the time at Dubik Mahama mono. Accounted from 2020, right after election, a jampoko 1.4 billion. 2022, a Kennedy Agyapong drew 8.6 billion. 2023, Dubik Mahama every power. Every ECG, equity say on your human being. Time Afenyo Markin air board chair 2023 before 2024. Na ECG at the cat 10.2 billion. It's wrong. The only time ECG and the MPP make ECG a COVID-19 era. Jessica. Every World Bank and the IMF they lied and creating impression. Me say everything is right. It's wrong. So we study chart now. You can see clearly say right now as we speak, Omuja ECG dema NDC January 2025 no na ECG de ka 40 billion. And na Samuel Abujina po beka kire mo no. Into 2023 no na ECG ka 10 billion. From 2023 to 2024. First 7 January 2025 no na ECG MPP ka omuja to na 40 billion. So you see, message chat we me boa join news for boa. Into the question is, why is Dubik Mahama walking around? I'm asking the Attorney General. I'm asking the Attorney General. Look at the chart. See the craziness. He can't go for we Agyarko. Ejenda mutigana na mutie dum saba asama bodam. Monkwasi afona masesa ahoma egu bukomu mo siase konkonene na na social media and a light ni ho and am sen krasefo ma mo hu nyanya mo hu kankabi. This is what your MPP monkwasi MPP na mo dwunso gum na mo som no. This is what it left. Into Dubik Mahama, he left a ECG September 2024. It Dubik Mahama, sa 40 billion na Agyarko no, on the boss I can to ho. And they was saying, so I want Ghanaians to understand. Say, I didn't hear you know, it's not to say your time will be these MPP people, somewhere Jimmy. Now, Dubik Mahama na, because of drugs, into no I say you. This is Dubik Mahama. Dubik Mahama Nagasoni. This is him. So when him Dubik Mahama Oni. Some catch we're a drug addict. He's a full drug addict. Or a junkie. Dubik Mahama Nagasoni. And then the I say. A drugs and a man I say. ECG Sikana Oria a drugs no the ball. But say Dubik Mahama na muhunu ne nima esa no. E drugs na mana esa wo. Sa wo kona sa omo bod drug. E wo sa omo ba no. Na kona drug si omo no no. Dubik Mahama no ni o. E ye duro no abo abeduru ha. ECG sika no de abo eduro re de wa ye ni. Eni jam ka che sam e ye ayeni. The Attorney General, put your friendship aside. The MPP, they are crazy people. Mo you heard Dubik Mahama no nie. That is him. Momo, you don't know anything. You can't question him. Wait, or you're a drug addict. Look at him. You see him today? Or a drug addict. This is Dubik Mahama. And you don't know what me say. Dubik Mahama has money. Dubik Mahama is going to come and say, I'm going to see Kevin Taylor. Dubik Mahama. Next week, me ba be kire mo ade bi about Dubik Mahama. Mo dia won ka se Kevin Taylor boa. Oh, Kevin Taylor says it is alleged. It's alleged that Dubik Mahama, he does drugs. and that Kevin Taylor said somebody is going to put the evidence out there. So as we speak, Kevin Taylor said it is alleged. Oh, it is alleged. Dubik Mahama does not take drugs. So it is alleged on this platform. I am saying it is alleged. Dubik Mahama, he does not take drugs. And anything I say, somebody is going to prove it to you that Dubik Mahama is this way because of drugs. So on my platform, it is alleged. Let's say that. Let's say it is alleged. Oh, Kevin Taylor has no evidence. Fine, I have no evidence. It is alleged. He does not do any drugs. He is fine. Onye Bibia. So whatever I'm saying here, it is alleged. I do not have evidence. Fine, I don't have evidence. Dubik Mahama, it is alleged that you do drugs. Is the proof going to come out? Let's see. Until let's see that if it is alleged, so Kevin Taylor says it is alleged. Let's see, say evidence. This is Dubik Mahama. The Dubik Mahama you've been talking about. This guy should have known. It is alleged drugs. Do not underestimate these boys. Yeah, you are shocked. The difference. That is him. Why are you shocked? And your Ozempic no one more. On no Ozempic. You're on board of Ozempic medicine. Where Dubik Mahama in action? Unim red. Na akwa we abetina TV so. Na okekan kwasi asem ne yeso so. Me say compare the two pictures. Let me enlarge it. Send it beya. Almost Kevin said it is alleged. It is alleged. It is alleged. Dubik Mahama, it is alleged that he does drugs. So Kevin doesn't have evidence. Let's keep it that way. This is Dubik Mahama. Monsha kakra na menum nsuo. Mahwewi. Aha. Into TikTok for no. Pick it and go question him.
If that is what we are looking for, let's look for it. What would be Dubik's aim to be part of a syndicate to take containers out? Do I live in a container house? Well, are my homes, if you have come to my home and it was built with containers, yes, you can say something like that and people will believe you. But the conversation at hand is this. There are, and you see, we keep digressing on the issue. Containers have arrived for ECG. ECG didn't have money to clear the containers. The containers went into an unclaimed area. Yes, the containers were dead. Some of them were subjects of an investigation. They were there for a long period of time. As they were there for a long period of time, some of the containers cannot be found. How many terminals are there in the, what do you call it, in GPHA? So have we gone to every single terminal to determine whether there's MPS? Don't forget. Well, so let's go through all of this. So if you go to GPHA alone, you are not also being fair to GPHA. Let me finish. So there are how many terminals? There's Atlas, there's other. Let's go through all of them. Don't say I went here and I counted and that was it. Let's go through all of them, or let's go into the system.
So because you classify this as misplacement and not missing, would you say containers found in fabrication companies and warehouses of Chinese were misplaced?
How were they? How would you call those containers missing? How did they leave?
No, I'm saying I'm using your own terminology.
No, yeah, so I'm responding to you. How did the container leave the port? No. If you answer that question, you would know, because we all live in Ghana. How did that container leave the port? The answer to all what we are looking for is how did those containers leave the port of the Republic of Ghana?
Where are the containers?
I like how you put it, the container heist.
It is indeed.
Honestly, I want to say I believe strongly the containers are at the port.
The containers are at the port.
And they are within the control of, because before I finish that statement, there are only two entities that have control of those containers. Let's bear in mind that the minister went into the port, a restricted area.
But I'm sure, I don't think he went in there all by himself without any permission.
Yeah, he went into, no, I'm not saying that. Just let me land. He went into a port, a restricted area. Containers have a formula as to how they leave the port. This conversation would have been different if we were saying that the containers were in the custody of ECG and got lost. But that is not the conversation. The conversation is that
those containers are at the port. So they are in the custody of GPHA and Ghana Customs. So it begs the question as to, yes, ECG hasn't paid its duties. Fine.
Yes.
So why auction a container belonging to ECG without knowledge to ECG? Because in my candid opinion, that's the only way a container can leave the port.
So are you saying that these containers left the ports without your notice? Without you being informed?
I would say if they have left, I'll be very careful to say, if, look, my brother,
well, wait.
containers
Well,
containers don't get missing. Let's correct something.
Mr. Mahama, so you know what? The containers are not at the port. You have seen some of them.
You are saying that.
You have seen some of them at Bong
in
the northern region.
How many?
At least we counted 40. The minister says 40, and now the ones they found at Bong as well.
Let me ask you a simple
question. So they are not at the ports. That's what I want to tell you.
Do you know a container is not like a piece of paper that you fold and throw away.
True.
For international supply chain logistics, a container has a unique number. Now, let me draw you to the committee's work, because that is where I want us to draw inference from. The committee said 1,346 containers are missing. How are they missing? There are processes at the port. Let's go through those processes. Have we spoken to the shipping lines? Have we visited the other terminals? Have we gone through the right channel? Because listen, the last I know, before I left, were that containers were auctioned. We did write to GRA to complain about those containers being auctioned.
Containers were auctioned with the content of the containers as well.
Yes.
ECG containers.
Yes.
Were auctioned by who?
It would be by the GRA, because when it goes to an unclaimed sector of the port, it's still within the jurisdiction of the Ghana Revenue Authority, the Customs Division.
Okay. So why did they auction those containers?
They would say it's within their purview. They might say the container has overstayed, the container hasn't come, the owner hasn't come for it. Let's say, for example, you order a vehicle from the US, or you are importing a vehicle. Okay?
Yes. Now, I think that understanding is clear. So the reason why they auction the containers is because it overstayed.
Okay. Yes. That's fine.
So that means that ECG failed to clear the containers.
So the question is, if ECG has failed to clear the containers, is that a good reason to auction the container with no recourse to ECG?
Did you write to the GRA?
There are letters flying. When I was in office, I know I wrote.
And what did the GRA say?
I don't have a reply from that. I have checked my documentation. There's no reply from that I can speak to. Look, all I'm trying to say is, our approach to the issue is to help the minister find these containers. As I sit here, the committee completed the job without speaking to me. Yet I am named in the committee's report.
But they spoke to the directors at the Electricity Company of Ghana, is it not?
You spoke to the directors, yet you named somebody who wasn't present.
So you wanted them to speak to you?
So how would you feel if they said no? Let's be fair. Let's not beat about the bush.
I get the point. Right?
No, if you get the point, let's make the point clear.
The reason why this committee, according to the minister, was established was to reconcile information that you left.
Listen,
right?
If you say that again, you are not being fair.
Why?
The minister said he was getting contradictory. I left office on the 25th of September. So I didn't leave during the transition. No, I wasn't part of the transition.
Well, but a number of the issues being discussed were within your period as minister.
There are a few issues discussed in the report, some contracts discussed in the report that were not signed by me. I was not in the office. I have decided not to speak to the committee's report because I want us to fully appreciate the decision or the conversation concerning these containers. The containers were never, yes, granted ECG hasn't paid its duty. For example, do you think Customs will auction a container belonging to Ghana Armed Forces?
So why did your containers keep that long at the ports?
You are not
when you already have from the
containers keeping that long at the port. There are two issues. There was one investigation being carried out by, what do you call it, Yoko, on a group of some containers called the LNR contract. That preceded me before I came into the seat.
Again, PDS had staff at the port, also in containers. That was a bone of contention at an arbitration. You have to stay your hand on those things. The moment you touch them, you are liable. The person can...
How many? How many containers?
I don't want to speculate numbers because I do not have the number sheet with me. And again, I left office in September. I remember writing letters to that effect. Yes, I do. I don't want us... Look, Mr. Kansi, let's address this issue for what it's worth. If the containers had come out of the port and they were within the jurisdiction of ECG, yes, ECG is liable for it to get lost. But the mere
question you have asked a number of times, and I said to you that you said how the containers got out of the port was because GRA auctioned them.
I said that is one. I didn't give you. I said that is one, and the conversation veered. Listen to me carefully. I said, let me reiterate this. A container cannot get missing. Wait, let me finish my point. A container cannot get missing. A container can only get misplaced or lost at sea. So there are laid down processes in every port worldwide. All I'm trying to say to you is that we need to have a diligent search, and everybody needs to assist in this. I haven't left this country. I am here. I want to assist because those containers contain critical materials that we need to intensify the network of ECG and also expand the work that the ECG is doing. So for me to say almost it's not only an indictment. It's not only an indictment on ECG. There are 3 state institutions involved here. Let's not drop the ball at one doorstep and say, okay, this is where it sits and that is the end of it. No, not at all. If the containers had been delivered to ECG's warehouse, and then you find those same containers out there in the field, yes.
You see, because you are going ahead of me on a number of issues. Now, I told you, we have enough time to get into the issues. You indicated that containers don't get missing. Per the records of the minister and what we have seen, the containers are not at the ports. So we can only describe them as missing and unaccounted for. It has been traced to certain warehouses, which you say that GRA auctioned those containers. That's one of the ways they got out. Which other way did they get out of the ports?
I am saying, if you are going to consider that, in my candid opinion, and as normal standard and practice, that should be the only way a container can leave the port. So if its owner has paid the duties and all the charges surrounding it, then the container can leave with its owner. If its owner hasn't paid that and it has gone into an unclaimed section for a very long period of time, yes, then the GRA can auction it for what it's worth to retrieve whatever monies they need to retrieve.
And the management, according to this report by the committee, they say your management, the negligence of your management caused the hold-up of ECG containers at the ports, incurring demurrage to the tune of over 909.5 million Ghana cedis. Well,
my candid opinion.
Why did you then this delay, the negligence that led to the delay, incurring demurrage to this tune that we will have to pay?
Isn't it beautiful that you are saying it here on this show? What was wrong with the committee calling me for a sit down, taking my opinion and probably even saying, oh, we've heard you, but it's rubbish? Right now, as I sit here, do you and I know what the next steps on that committee report is going to be taken?
Well, we understand that there's going to be a forensic
that is what we are all pushing for.
And we understand that you are also going to be called in that particular
That is what instance. I am looking for.
So then, but then again, it does not discount the details of the report, even if you were not called. So because the details of the report, from what we do know,
the background of my background, my first love is law. I won't come here and give information to a committee that never gave me the right or certain privileges for me to speak. Now, as I walk here, based on this report, you know the country we live in. If somebody gets upset and does something to me outside this place, based on what they've read,
who would be held responsible?
But would you make yourself available for the forensic?
Of course. Look, let's make a point clear. I never schooled abroad. I am homegrown. I believe in this country. I came to work in this country. I worked within this country. My success at ECG is clear for everybody to see. And I want to make it known to everybody that I have no intentions of fleeing from the conversation that needs to be had. If we need to solve a problem, let's holistically help the minister to solve the problem. We are all here to assist. What is the issue, or why would we walk away from an issue of something that is beneficial to ECG?
But then that's a question that is on the minds of many, to the extent that,
so,
you see...
That's what I'm saying. Look, let me add one last point.
So,
okay, you finish.
No, before you get into the last point, if you say that because of the auctions that were done, containers belonging to ECG that were procured with the taxpayers' money,
point of correction,
yes,
they would be, ECG doesn't use the taxpayers' money.
But
that's another point.
You raise funding to some funds to.
So ECG, you consume electricity, you pay. That is not public funds. The public funds is clearly spelled out in the PFM Act.
But when you generate the revenue, it goes into the national kitties.
No, it doesn't.
But ECG's losses are paid for by us.
How are ECG's losses paid for by you?
Your loss is part of the entire energy sector's debt.
So you see, you are trying to amalgamate two issues which are like chalk and cheese.
You said that your debts are not part of the entire energy sector.
I didn't say our debt. Let's correct that. I didn't say our debt.
What are you saying?
I said our revenue, our cash flow coming in, what we collect after the sales of electricity to our customers, doesn't fall under the remit or the ambit of public funds. That's what I said.
But let's go back, because I'm making direct reference to the committee's report. Let's go back to what the committee talks about.
Again, you are trying to draw me into an arena where I have made my point clear on.
Which is,
if this committee, listen to me.
So you say you don't want to respond to the details of this committee's report.
Perfectly.
But then again, you are concerned by the committee mentioned your name.
Yes, and at the right time, when the committee gives me my opportunity to speak, the committee can publish the respect that the committee didn't give to me. I am affording the committee that respect. Because even your son at home or your daughter at home, when they do something wrong, you will talk to them. When even it's reported speech outside your home, you are told that your son did A, B, C, and D. When you come home, you will ask your son or your daughter. My point is this. Why speak to a document that I wasn't given the opportunity? When given the opportunity, I will address it accordingly. Because there are so many inconsistencies. Yes, I do admit. But at the right forum, my position here is to say this. Containers are too big a thing for us to use the term loose, missing. They are not missing. They are possibly misplaced, or we just need to take our time and find it at other terminals within the port. Because a careful check or a careful exercise. Because today, this afternoon, I was spoken to about a paper from National Security going to, what do you call it, the port, asking for 700 containers to be moved out. Now, my big question is that I don't even know. Is this 700 containers part of what the committee saw? Or not, because this letter is dated 7th March. So there are too many discrepancies that I want all of us to help the minister solve.
Okay, when you wrote to ECG, and we have a copy of, to the GRA, we have a copy of that letter, raising concern about this whole auctioning of your containers. Did they respond to the letter?
No. To the best of my knowledge, I don't remember anything of that sort.
And so, did you follow up to ensure that you get responses?
You see, when you ask such a question, you are cheapening the job at hand that I have been giving to.
Which is what?
As managing director. No, wait. As managing director of the company, do you think every single document I would be able to personally chase after?
when other things are coming to you so fast and thick, and there are major things concerning how your customers or how the customers of ECG have to be satisfied, or when there are other issues happening on the ground. Look,
Dubik,
let's be fair. And let me make one point clear. Let nobody say that I'm running away from this document. No, I am not.
If you're not running away from it,
don't say
then
if.
Speak to it.
Don't say if. Don't say if. If the committee.
If you
are friends, listen. Don't push me. Let's land this thing. You asked for a conversation. Let me answer you. Let me answer you. I won't speak to the detail of a document that I wasn't respecting. Would you be happy if that was done to you? Why are you forcing me to do so? Because it's your show? If it's your show and that's where you want to go, I'm telling you, I don't want to go there. If you want us to discuss the issues, look, every family, there's a problem. Every home, there are issues. But let's be honest, when the problem doesn't fall fully at the doorstep, we have state agencies, and the minister has categorically said, let's use the state agencies and the forensic audit to determine the whereabouts of these containers. Let's do exactly that. Because for some of us, we believe our reputations also are what? Are at stake if these containers are not found.
Right. So since and that's why I come back to the point that you are so concerned about your reputation if these containers are not found. You wrote a letter to the GRA, you didn't get a response, and you left it there. And I'm asking, and you're saying there were other
you said
important
how long was I managing director of ECG?
For over 18 months, 18 to 20 months.
2 years, 4 months, exactly. Now, in 2 years, 4 months, look at the turnaround of the company. Before you start cheapening the conversation, you are asking categorically.
We'll get to the state of affairs.
Don't separate.
You don't want us to talk about the details of the report.
I asked you, I said something honest, and I was being straightforward with you. I told you, the committee didn't help the minister. The committee didn't treat me fairly. So I do not, out of respect for the committee, I do not want to speak about it, because bear in mind, I may not be able to control myself when I start speaking about certain things in there. And then am I going to repeat the same thing? It will not also be fair to the committee to hear the first-hand responses to some of these things they've given out here. So the minister on this same show, not on this show, but on this network on Saturday said, I will be afforded the opportunity to speak. And I look forward to that day. Okay. So if the committee invites me tomorrow, next week, next 2 weeks, I will be there to share my viewpoint with them. Then, after that, if you call me here to say I need to speak to ABC and D, what would I do?
Let me find out this. What are the processes at the ECG in clearing your containers at the port?
We have a materials and transport division of the company that is in charge of that. So basically, as managing director, I have a director that manages this directorate. So all of this falls under that director's ambit.
And why did you merge the estate department with the procurement department?
Fantastic question. Again, if the committee had gotten in touch with the company secretary, because as managing director, I can't just get up and merge directorates. No. You need the consent and the concurrence of the board.
So the board approved that decision?
Definitely.
What was the reasoning behind it?
I will not honor that again by giving that here, because if due diligence was done, the company secretary was spoken to, the document would have been provided for them. There are too many things that it was left ajar. One of them, there was no, value for money audit. If you had spoken to the company secretary, you would have gotten all of that. But there are things that the director legal could have also provided, because there are things that are on file.
Is it best practice to merge estate department with the procurement department?
You see,
headed by somebody who, according to the report, didn't have any experience in procurement.
So my conversation to you is this: when you're a manager, when you're a director, it has nothing to do with qualification. It's a management role. If this your question applies, then why are ministers, apart from the Attorney General, who the Constitution is expressed, should be a lawyer? Why are individuals from different backgrounds appointed into certain ministerial roles? It's a management role. So I'm telling you, if the committee had taken its time, spoken to the corporate, what do you call it, the company secretary, there would have been board minutes that led to that decision. And all of this wouldn't have happened.
You are aware of the reasoning.
I am aware, but why do I give it out here? Due diligence. Look, when you are put in a role, in a fiduciary role, there are certain responsibilities that come with it. Mm-hmm. You're not supposed to do anything that would look like you are giving the dog a bad name and hang it. If I tell you sitting here, I feel it was a witch hunt, would I be wrong in saying that? I would not feel wrong in saying that. But the truth of the matter is, I feel the committee could have done better. I feel this final interim report leaves a lot to be desired. I look forward to the day I am called to speak. I look forward to a day a new report is published. And I am committed to assisting the minister to recover his containers. And I have said that, and I'll continue to say it, because these are stuff or these are goods that belong to the state. We all need to work together to make sure that what the minister's motive is achieved.
You're waiting for winning and somewhere KT Kavitela Eddie Atuja Wadansem Bebre Eddie FIA Dubik Mahama, former ECG boss. Now Wadansem Dudo Nara Eddie. Because so when you subscribe to channel idea, Bomodian say or best subscribe. But no like it, give us a thumbs up, Nafi. Share video to my offer for soda. When you be here now, who ends somewhere also our Ghana memoir. Also wait me otchere wadwin afaye somewhere you know I comment box in the interview in my next video.
Thanks for watching. Like and share the video. You can also drop your comment. Please don't forget to subscribe. Click on the bell to turn on the notification.